What's up everyone, this is Kefren, your favorite French Canadian. Today I'm taking a deep dive into the Anbernic RG556, a nice retro handheld on the market. This device is priced at $185 USD. It really depends on where you buy it, and I have the chance to really put it through its pace over the last few weeks. From design to gaming performance, there's a lot to unpack here, so if you're thinking about picking this up or just curious about how it stacks up, stick around. So let's talk about the design and the build quality. So let's kick things off by talking about the design. The RG556 stands out from another Anbernic model with its larger and more ergonomic form factor. This handheld is quite a bit wider and thicker than something like the RG353. And that's mostly because of the integrate and grip. These grip make the console super comfortable to hold, especially for a long gaming session. Personally, I found the ergonomic design to be one of its strongest points. It fits really well in the hand, and it's great for those marathon when you're playing retro gaming or just like a native game on Android. At 330 gram, it's relatively lightweight and the weight distribution is solid. Your finger naturally wrap around the grips, and every button from the face button to the stack shoulder button, it's within easy to reach. These stack shoulder buttons are a nice touch with an analog trigger that feels very responsive. However, the power and volume buttons are positioned a bit awkwardly. You might have to stretch a little to access them, but it's not a major inconvenience. As for the overall build quality, the RG556 uses a plastic shell that feels decent but not amazing. If you're like me and use your handheld a lot, you'll notice that you will need to wipe it down frequently to keep it looking clean. While the plastic doesn't feel cheap, it's not quite on par with what you expect from a premium device. One area where I think Anbernic could improve is the material choice for the hand grip. The plastic feels a bit hollow, and I will have preferred something more solid or textured. The translucent blue color, I opt for a fantastic look, but the smooth, shiny finish make it a bit slippery, honestly. I was hoping for a more premium feel in this regard, but I guess this is where you have some compromise come in for a sub $200 device. Finally, let's talk about these sticks. Now they're all-effect joystick, which means you don't have to worry about the stick drift, and that's a huge win in my book. However, the actual range of motion on these sticks is just okay. They're fine for most games, but if you're playing something like a racing game or a shooter that require more precise control, you might notice that the stick feels a little short in terms of range. They don't quite compare to the smooth full range motion you get with higher end devices like the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, so they're serviceable but not amazing. Now let's talk hardware and feature. Moving on the internal spec, the RG556 is powered by the Unisoc T820 processor, which has 8 core and is backed by 8 GB of LPDDR4X RAM. This is a solid mid-range setup, especially for an handheld at this price point. You're getting more than enough power to run most Android games and emulators, and the 128 GB of built-in storage mean you got plenty of room for your game and app. If you need more space, they also have the option to expand the storage with a micro SD card. One of the standout features here is the 5.48-inch AMOLED display. It's 1080p and the image quality is fantastic. Whether you're playing native Android games or emulating older console, the colors are vibrant and the contrast is great thanks to the OLED. It really enhances the retro gaming experience, especially for games that have a lot of pixel art or detailed visual. The screen is touch sensitive, which is useful for Android game or just navigating on your OS. The RG556 also comes with the 5500 mAh battery, which gives you about 5 to 8 hours of playtime depending on what game you're playing and how bright you keep the screen. I found that for lighter emulation and less demanding Android games, I could get close to 7 hours, but if you're running more intensive game or emulating higher end system like the PS2 or GameCube, expect something closer to 4 to 5 hours. It's still pretty respectable battery life, especially for a device with a high quality display. In terms of connectivity, you got the dual band Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.0, USB Type-C, which even support 1080p display port output, so you can actually connect this handheld to an external monitor or TV and game on a bigger screen if you want. That's a nice feature that adds some versatility to the device. Alright, let's get to what you're all here for. Gaming performance. The RG556 handles retro console like GameCube, Dreamcast, and PS2 with ease, and I've been really impressed with what this handheld can do. Starting with the GameCube, this handheld can run the majority of titles at 2x resolution, and the experience is really smooth. For an example, I was playing Star Fox Adventure, and it runs beautifully at 2x resolution with no noticeable frame drop. The performance is consistent, and the AMOLED display really bring out the color in these older games, making them look better than ever. Dreamcast emulation is also a strong point for the RG556. I tried games like Crazy Taxi and it runs flawlessly at 60 FPS. The control feel responsive and the analog trigger are especially useful for racing game. Dreamcast game in general seem to run without any issues, and that's definitely a win for the device. Now let's talk about the PS2 performance. This is where the things get interesting. For the most part, PS2 game run well, but I tend to play them at 1x resolution to ensure smoother gameplay. Titles like Time Splitter and Burnout Revenge can run at like 50 to 60 FPS at 1x resolution, which is impressive for an handheld at this price point. You may need to adjust some setting depending on the game, but overall the experience is solid. Just don't expect flawless performance on more demanding PS2 games without tweaking the resolution or the setting. Also run some PSP game, and honestly it's a bit like the Dreamcast. It's pretty much flawless. I really like to play PSP game on this console. One of the most surprising aspects of the RG556 is that it can actually run some Switch games, though it's mostly limited to lighter indie title. You will want to stick to 0.5x resolution for this game. For instance, I've tested Hollow Knight on it, and it ran decently at like 50 to 60 FPS, but games with more intensive graphic or larger world will struggle a bit. It's still pretty cool that this handheld can handle any Switch game at all, but you'll definitely be limited to the lighter, less demanding title. Now let's break down the pros and cons for the Anbernic RG556. So first of all, for the pros, the 5.48-inch AMOLED display is a highlight. It's bright, colorful, and makes both retro and Android games look amazing. The all-effect joystick and triggers are a great addition, eliminating stick drift and making the control feel solid. Great performance with GameCube and Dreamcast illumination, and PS2 game run well at 1x resolution. And at $185 USD, it offers a great value for the amount of performance and feature you get. For the cons, the plastic shell feel a bit cheap and is prone to smudge and dust. The analog sticks are okay, but they don't have the range of motion you want for games that require more precision, especially compared to higher-end handheld. While it runs Switch game, you're limited to indie title at a low resolution, and more demanding games will struggle a lot. So, all in all, the Anbernic RG556 is a solid retro handheld that offer a lot for the price. At $185 USD, you're getting a beautiful AMOLED display, solid performance on GameCube, Dreamcast, and PS2 games, and all-effect joystick and trigger that ensure durability. It's not perfect. The build quality could be a bit better, and the analog stick could be use more range, but for the price, it's hard to find a better option that balance comfort, performance, and value. If you're looking for an handheld that can handle a variety of retro games with ease and doesn't break the bank, the RG556 is definitely worth considering. However, if you're someone who needs more precise control and expect to play more demanding game, you might want to look at something like the Retrohead Pocket 4 Pro, but expect to pay an higher price for that. So this is pretty much it, guys, for my review. If you have any question about this device or other device in the market, just comment in the YouTube section. I will try to help you the best that I can, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Peace.